You've probably heard the saying that the rich get richer. Thing is, it's not a new saying. It actually is a result of centuries of systems and failed attempts to fix them. In this video, I'm going to break down how we got here, why wealth inequality will only get worse in the future, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Because the truth is, you can't vote your way into wealth, but you can learn how the game works. And when you know how the game works, you can play it a little bit better. Let's take things back a couple of centuries. Back in the late 1800s, there was this guy named Vilfredo Pareto, and he was an interesting character. He was a philosopher, he was also a political scientist, and even an engineer. But most importantly, he was an economist. And he noticed an interesting dynamic amongst the people of his country. He realized that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by only 20% of its citizens. And this imbalance started showing up in different areas. It was wealth in general and income as well, but also in nature. Now we call this the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule. It's this natural imbalance that shows up in pretty much every aspect of life. Now, when it comes to wealth inequality, inequality alone isn't necessarily a big issue. But what is an issue is when that inequality continues to get more and more extreme, and when it kind of comes out that it's being engineered that way. See, when the gap between the haves and the have-nots gets too wide, history tells us that usually doesn't end up in a party. It usually ends up with something that looks a little bit more like a riot, or even worse, a war. Let's fast forward a little bit to the Industrial Revolution. In that time, we had increased productivity, and that increased productivity actually led to a rise in wages for the employees. More output, more pay. At that time, it was a system that at least kind of worked. But around 1973 or so, that all changed. Since then, worker productivity has increased by 80%. And when it comes to their wages, not so much. So where did all that extra money from the increased productivity go over the past 50 years or so? Well, it went to the owners of the companies, the patents, and the technology that absorbed that productivity as the economy shifted from farms and factories to bits and bytes. The economy didn't stop growing, it just stopped distributing that growth. And right before wages and productivity disconnected, in 1971, the United States officially ended the gold standard. And from that moment on, the dollar was just paper, backed by nothing more than confidence and kinetic warfare. That allowed central banks to print trillions of dollars willy-nilly. And when they get to print willy-nilly, things get really silly. That money doesn't end up in the hands of workers. No, this money actually ends up in the hands of people who own assets. When the demand for places to put money rises, but the supply of places to put it, land, housing, and stocks stays the same, prices explode. And this is why it feels impossible to keep up. While you're out here earning in dollars, they're earning in ownership. Fast forward a little bit, it's the 1980s, the government is recognizing that this is a problem in the United States, and they come up with this idea called supply-side economics, or what critics call trickle-down economics. The idea is that if you cut taxes on the wealthy, then they'll have more money to invest. And when they have more money to invest, they'll hire more people or at least improve the wages of the people that they already have working for them. And in theory, it makes sense. But in practice, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Because instead of that money flowing into the pockets of employees, it kind of found its way into the financial markets instead. So now you have corporate profits going up, and they're taking that money and they're buying their own stocks essentially. And then the price of those stocks are going up. And meanwhile, for the average worker, it's crickets. So yeah, the money did trickle, it just didn't go to the people they said it would. So people are right to be skeptical. I mean, the idea was that this trickle-down economics was going to lift all boats. And in reality, what it did was lift a couple of yachts. Fast forward to now. We still have politicians that are arguing over which side of the aisle gets to spend the most amount of money. And then we've got corporate buybacks that are now in the billions of dollars. And worst of all, you have technology that's not only stealing your job, but also your time and attention. So while most people are distracted, out here scrolling TikTok and worrying about what's happening with the diddler, we got the wealthy people sitting back, continuing to buy more land, stocks, and investing in AI at a pace that we've never seen before. So now let's talk about what to do about it. Here's the hard truth. One of the worst things that anyone can do right now is to not participate in the markets. Because the thing is that if you don't own assets, not only are you losing because of the willy-nilly money printing from the central banks, but also you're not participating in the exponential growth that's happening in asset prices. and asset prices can go up for longer than anyone can expect. And so the thing is while it sounds smart to kind of sit back and wait, we never really know when an opportunity like that is going to come. And history tells us that you're much better spending time in the market than trying to time it. And yeah, it's risky and there will be crashes, but the ones who make it through those storms are going to be the ones who come out ahead. And let's be clear, investing is not the only way out. One of the most powerful tools is to have your own thing. A side hustle, a business, start creating content, a podcast, sell a digital service or product. The thing is that the internet has made it so easy for us to just put stuff out and test. And right now is the time to start doing that. And now with AI and all that, if you're not using these tools, you are falling behind. And I am dead serious. If you work at a computer or you have one at home, you should always have a tab of ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, one of them open at all times. This is the era of scrappy value creation. You want to not only be trading your time for money, but actually looking for ways to set up systems that generate income for you while you sleep. The thing is that we don't really know how much longer we have until all the jobs might be gone. There's no guarantee that that doesn't happen. Could go one way where we work with the AI, and it could go the other where it doesn't need us. So just keep that in mind. And the thing is people are starting to realize this. And so as that's happening, the competition to do what I'm talking about is increasing. And when it does come to investing, you don't need to find the next Nvidia or the next Amazon. You can just ride the indexes, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. That's what all the wealthy people are doing. Instead of trying to pick stocks and compete in what actually is a losing game, you can just relax and let the money that you've made work for you, and let these asset managers in the market and these companies work for you. Oh, and I've noticed there's been a little bit of contention around the topic of crypto and blockchain in the comments. So if you're watching, let me know what you think down below. What I would say is that if you don't know anything about blockchain and cryptocurrency, then you need to take the time to figure it out. It could be a scam, but even if it is, it's occurring. And it's probably the most asymmetric bet that there is in the market. So if you're not participating, it might actually be the most risky thing to do. Look, I can't tell you what to do with your money, and none of this is financial advice. But what I can say is that if you want to break out of the system, you really want to do your best to understand it. And that's why I put together a 2-part wealth building system in the description, completely free down below. The first part is a purpose finder workbook to help you figure out what it is exactly that you want to do and what your next steps are. And the second is a full wealth blueprint. So looking at the 3 different ways that I've outlined that you can build wealth and which one makes the most sense for you and where you should start. If you want to go deeper, I'm doing a full macroeconomic series on the channel. We're going over bonds, the Fed, interest rates, inflation, everything. Like and subscribe.